everyone. Welcome to a special edition of Trans Am Tuesday. I'm Jonathan Green, and we really do have something special for you today. This show is brought to you by Big Machine Vodka, Main Gear, and Hussenveld Pedals. And that is because in the house today, we have the one and only Scott Borchetta, who is one of our Trans Am drivers in both the E-Championship. Well, he's more known for his SVRA skills in Group 6, where he's a champion, but he's going to be going into the real Trans Am world after he gets out of the E-Championship. Scott Borchetta, welcome to Trans Am Tuesday. And I think the first thing I want to tell everybody is you are in a very special place. And the reason we wanted to do a dedicated show is that you've got so much to talk about the E-Championship, what you're doing in the real world, and of course, those beautiful cars behind you. Let's start by with that. You're known for your music industry pursuits, but your passion is truly motor racing. So how did that all begin?
You know, my very first race that I attended was the Ontario Motor Speedway California 500 in 1970. So 7 years old, and the demon rock and roll motorsports jumped into me at that point and never left. So the suit that I have behind me, the blue suit, is actually Alan Senior's 1971 Indy 500 winning suit. And that car with the Johnny Lightning, that to this day is still in my race logo. So the Johnny Lightning imprinted with me from a very early age, and I've always just loved racing and become a collector. I raced in the NASCAR Weekly Series for a lot of years, and I started Big Machine Records in 2005. And ironically, my last race in the series was September 3rd of 05. We opened the label September 1st. I knew that was going to be my last race. I didn't even tell my wife. It's like, okay, we have a chance at the championship. It's win or crash, and we're going. So I ended up winning that last race, won the championship, and hadn't raced in 13 years. And my good friend Ray Evernham a few years ago says, you need to come over to Charlotte for a track day. I'm like, nope, not going to do it. Next thing you know, I'm over there running laps with Ray. We get off the track. He goes, you're pretty good. You should come and race with us. And I'm like, Ray, I can't do it. And so I'm flying home. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Ray Evernham thinks you've got some talent and is inviting you to come and race with them. So next thing you know, we've got this 72 Corvette, and I'd never turned right in a race car in my life. And next thing you know, we're running these SVRA races with the 72 Corvette. And especially in 2019, we had a really great season. We looked like we're supposed to be there. Won at COTA, which was the biggest win for us so far. And you know, Ed Savagian was in that race. Jody O'Donnell, who we had if you've seen that video, it's up on YouTube. And Jody and I went door to door, bumped, banged, kept the cars on the track, and that's probably our biggest win yet so far for SVRA. But it's always been around, and it is a true passion. I always joke that nothing's really changed since high school. It's still about girls, my wife Sandy, cars, and rock music, Big Machine. So nothing's really changed. We just get to do it at a higher level.
I love it. Now, listen, it's a timely time to talk to you because, first of all, congratulations, Edward Savagian, who is both your teammate and also somewhat of a mentor or a coach in the real world racing. I know he's helping you out. But more importantly, Big Machine got their first E-Trans Am win at Riverside with Edward Savagian. You got 2 15th places, which is, again, pretty darn good, 2 point scoring places. But congratulations on your first esports win.
Thank you. It was really big. You know, Edward and I take this really seriously, and we've been working on it. I had a weight penalty this past week, or I really think we would have competed for a top 10. But no excuses. You know, you got to get it done on the racetrack. And Edward has wanted to get it done all season. He goes, man, I got to win one of these. And we knew at his practice times on Friday that he would be challenging for the pole. So he set pole, and then that first race was pretty flawless. And to put the Big Machine Vodka Esports Corvette, you know, in victory lane was pretty cool. And so we actually have done a couple of photos of our 2 cars there at Riverside in victory lane, and we're going to post those up later today.
Now, Scott, when I heard you were going to be on the show, and I knew you had a collection, I was going to show you some of my collection of Trans Am cars, but I don't know. They seem to pale into insignificance. The car behind you on your right is very special, and I want you to tell the audience about it because it has a connection to both Riverside and your love of the sport and the Unzers, who you mentioned before.
Yes, absolutely. So that first race, Bobby and Al Unser were in that California 500. This car raced in the California 500. This is Bobby Unser's 1967 Eagle that he raced all the way. It was one of the cars that he raced all the way through the 1970 season. And the significance of this car, which is, it's an All-American Racers chassis number 210. It was the car that Bobby was driving at Riverside in 1967. He finished second to Dan Gurney, and they won the points championship for the owner, not the driver's points, but run the owner's points. Comes back then the very next year, 1968, he finishes second to Dan Gurney again, but that time he won the driver's championship. He beat Mario Andretti, and that race is online. You go back and look. Mario was in 3 different cars trying to get the thing across the finish line and beat Bobby. So this car has an amazing history at Riverside, and the fact that I get to own one of my heroes' cars is really cool. And also, we own the car also to my left, which is 01 from 1972. The official All-American Racers chassis number is 7201, and it's the first Indy car to ever do 200 miles an hour. This car and its sister car broke every track record that year, and it either won or it didn't finish. It couldn't go 500 miles, but they won every single short track. But these cars are really special, and we think that this 1967 Eagle 210 may be the winningest Eagle ever. So we're doing some research on that, but a very, very important car in the world of IndyCar and just really car collecting in general.
Well, I'm getting a lot of text at the moment saying, "Can we take a closer look?" I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can ask you to do that. But are you in a position to maybe take us a little closer to that car and have a proper look at it?
Absolutely. Yes, for sure. So check this out. So this is the Bobby Unser 1967 All-American Racers Dan Gurney chassis number 210. Very important car. This car finished second at Riverside to Dan Gurney 1967, which brought Wilkie and Leadercard a T-Motor championship. Well, ironically, 1968, Dan Gurney wins the race again. Bobby finishes second, but this time Bobby Unser won the national championship as a driver. This is also the first Indy car that Bobby Unser ever won in. So very important car. It also raced in the very first race I attended. Bobby drove this in 1970 at the California 500. So this car means a lot to me personally, and we still drive it. So come and take a look. Ford 4-cam. This is actually a water pipe from the actual shop. It's got all the 210 on it. So, they used to number these parts, and it's amazing. Stuff's over 50 years old. But take a look at the cockpit here real quick. This transmission is high and low. This is the Indy transmission. Then next to this car we have 7201. This is serial number 1 from 1972. Very important car. This is the first Indy car to ever do 200 miles an hour. It did it also at Ontario Motor Speedway. Also very important, it's the first year that they allowed attached wings. This car and its sister car broke every track record in 1972. If it finished, it won. And Bobby won 6 races that year, 11 poles, turbocharged Offie, 1,200 horsepower, and the very first car to have the Gurney flag. They were at a meeting, they were doing all their testing in Ontario, and once they got the car up to speed, it was still a little bit dicey in the rear end, and out of nowhere, Dan says, "Hey, put a flap on this rear wing." And they're like, "What will that do?" He's like, "Just do it." Next thing you know, this thing planted the rear end. It's just this little flap that made all the difference in the world. They still run them today, nearly 50 years later, the Dan Gurney flap. Unfortunately, several drivers lost their lives in this model car, including Art Pollard and Swede Savage. And it was super fast, but it was also super dangerous. It it was just a kind of a rocket on the ground, if you will, a fighter jet, that wanted to take flight. So yeah, it's back when men were real men driving these crazy cars.
Yeah, and I mean the significance of the Gurney flap and the Gurney, the wing effectively was his innovation. People forget that changed motor racing forever, and still to this day,
Yeah.
it's known as a Gurney, and it's incredible because some people don't know the true history of it, and there you have the original. I just had a text from Tony Perella. He wants to know if you're doing full paid tours after COVID's over.
Absolutely. Any of my Trans Am friends that want to come and hang out, it's on me. Come and see me here in Nashville.
Well, like I said, for those that don't know, like you said, you've got a distinguished, more than distinguished career in the music business. But like I said, racing's your passion, and obviously you picked up the bug early in life. But it's one thing to be passionate about cars; it's another to actually go racing. And I do believe I'm right in saying, if I've got my research right, you are actually going to go. You're doing the E-Trans Am Championship. That's just sim racing. You are going to go and do TA2. Is that right?
We're going to do some TA2 starts this year for sure. If the stars align, we'll be at MidOhio. And I would love to do that. We just tested our SVRA cars at MidOhio a couple weeks ago. And I think we might be ready. So we're going to get the car up there, and I would love for that to be my first start.
What is it about Trans Am and SVRA that you like, Scott? Obviously, you've got a choice. You've won the Indy 500 with Dan Weldon. You've been around racing. You could probably be in any series you wanted. Why did you choose SVRA and Trans Am?
The intention was just to go out racing again and have some fun with the vintage cars, and then being around it. Anytime you win something, it's like, all right, what's next? What else can we do? What's the next level of becoming a better driver? And having that series running with SVRA gives me the ability to continue to hone my craft during, running the stock cars and running the Corvettes. And then to get into another discipline was really attractive to me. It's like, all right, I can still do what I'm doing, but also really step up and really see, how much better I can get. Because every time you get in a race car, it's about getting better. It's about improving. And, the learning curve is so steep. And road racing is something that I never thought I would do. When I was running oval track, running in the NASCAR Weekly Series, I had no desire. I don't know why, but it's like, we don't have time to set the cars up. We can't figure that stuff out. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. We're winning. And I had a great run doing the NASCAR Weekly Series, and then started the label, and I thought I was done racing. And then to get back out there and go, wow, not only do you have, the speed, but instead of with the oval track, you've got an opportunity to beat them in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you've got maybe 21 places where you can be better and really put a great lap together. And when you see us running so close together, and if you know that you're within a tenth of somebody else who's doing really good through a track that has 21 turns, etc., I think it's really accomplishing something as a driver, and to continue to get really consistent lap times and figure out how to carry more speed through the corners. And it's so much more spot perfect. NASCAR racing is the same, but it's different. You can really hustle the car. You can beat and bang. With this, you've got to really have a great technical ability to put the car where you want it. And it's a very different discipline. I know you spoke with Boris Said recently, and I've learned a lot watching Boris when we've done some SVRA races. And just how you position the car. If you look back at the greats, you look back at Senna, you look back at Schumacher, and how they position the car on entry, where they were braking. I saw this crazy thing on Senna the other day, how he would zap the pedal several times through the corner. Back in the day, you can't do it with the modern Formula One car, but he would zun, 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 zun. And the way he did it, it didn't upset the balance of the car. And that's brilliant talent, and nobody else ever did that. But the things that you can find out, because even jumping in the E-Series with Trans Am, the guys who are running fast aren't running the same. So what works for Tyler Cassera isn't what Ed Sabajian's doing. And it's really fascinating to watch how they they run through the corners and the way that they attack the corners differently and what feels right. It's the same on the real track, and that's what I love about the eSport series. You really are learning a ton about how to really manhandle these cars around these road circuits.
Well, Scott, it's been great chatting to you today, and thank you so much for sharing your beautiful connection. Please look after it. I know you will. Is there one car that you still kind of are hunkering for, and what would it be?
You know, there's always been this hunkering to get a Ferrari Daytona. That's the one that's at the top of the bucket list.
Right.
And, you know, it's such a beautiful car. It's such a powerful car. And it was such an important car. So that's probably the one that, you know, I'm looking out for.
All right. Well, and when would you think we're going to see you in the real thing, in TA2, where we see you on the podium, you and Savajian, and then we all head back downtown and go to the big machine vodka party?
I love that visual. So, you know, we'll start it off. Hopefully my first TA2 start is at MidOhio, and we'll just make our own party. We'll bring our own vodka, so wherever we are, we'll have the party. And you know, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about doing these TA2 cars and these starts, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And again, it's another learning curve. So bring it on. Let's rock.
I'm excited. I love it. Well, Scott Borchetta from Nashville, Tennessee, thank you so much for talking to us. And let's look forward to MidOhio. And as Scott says, that's coming up in just a few weeks' time. I bet you're getting ready and can't wait to get out of the house, right?
Oh yeah, you know, the race suits, everybody's ready. The team's ready. They can't wait to get back on the track. So, you know, let's go.
Hey, Scott, thank you so much for talking to us on Trans Am Tuesday. It's been a real delight. Best of luck out there on the tracks, both in cyberspace and on the real thing. We'll see you out there. But that's it for Trans Am Tuesday this week. My thanks to Scott Borchetta and to Big Machine Vodka for round, and of course Main Gear, Fanatec, and Hussenfeld pedals. Well, that's it for this week. Don't forget, download the app, both SVRA. We just had the Group 6 winner from SVRA, Scott Borchetta, on the show. You can find out where he's racing and what's going on with SVRA. Download the Trans Am app. It's all there, all the features, all the interviews. This interview will be there, and also the latest schedule as to where we will be racing. So definitely download that. Go transam.com if you want to go to our website. We've got links there to our Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. But that's it for Tuesday this week. Come back and join us for Trans Am Tuesday next time. I'm Jonathan Green. Until next time, bye-bye for now.